Okay, it's day 159.3. What I like to do is go back to the articles that I've used over a year ago to get metadata from. This is the New York Times article way back when, last December in 2016, almost a year and 4 months ago. And it was the article I got all the information about Adrian Hawkins there at the phone booth, making the phone booths to the DNC, right? And he started in September 2015. That's how I figured monthly sweeps, and that's how I figured out the sweep starting there. And then transfer the help desk. You don't transfer the FBI to the help desk. So in the first paragraph, it unlocked the whole sweeping. That was the whole DNC sweeping to Hillary for America in Brooklyn. In the first paragraph was a giveaway. The second paragraph now is coming into play with the Dukes, saying, hey, this cyber espionage team is the Dukes. Now this links to Adrian Hawkins. Adrian Hawkins used to work for Sean Henry here at the DC office in the FBI. Now we know the Dukes are associated closely with the CrowdStrike, and we know Dmitry Alperovich is there. We know his dad ran a whole bunch of hacking teams in the Soviet Union, so it just seems like the Dukes should be a whole bunch of Russian cyber hacking teams. It all makes sense, right? And that they would bring those folks in to do hacking. Okay, and then of course they're going to get the money from the government to fix the hacks, right? So it's kind of like you're both the person starting the fight in a bar and you're the bouncer. Okay. So, and then they're talking about the hack of the White House here, the hack of the State Department, the hack of the Joint Chiefs, and then how the FBI was confused about all this, but they knew it was these signatures of the 2014 hacks and so forth. And here's our famous Yurid Tameen at the tech support desk at the DNC answering these calls. They don't really say much about the fact that the MIS department was really in Chicago and at the Navy Yard. They leave that out. But we know that the Fusion GPS is planning these articles. So again, it tells us that they're deliberately leaving those out for some reason, which tells us that's immediately where we need to go. So both negative feedback and positive feedback here. They're comparing it to the Watergate. There, you can see them already trying to set Trump up as echoing the Watergate here, right? So the fact that they mention that again, they've been given this by Fusion GPS, right? So they're going to put in things that are going to paint the narrative and scenario that they want to paint. So they're going to give some excuses here, and then they're going to include John Podesta, who's going to be a victim as well. Again, we should know by now if you're a victim, that means you're a conspirator. But anyway, this is his password change right here in March of 2016. He says, hey, I got hacked. So we know immediately that we need to look at that more carefully. And this really basically, here's Debbie Wasserman Schultz, basically gives you all the people involved in the conspiracy. It's just such a beautiful thing when they do this. And of course, the people they've been working with the closest, which is all of Putin's oligarchs, are now going to be listed as the enemy. They're the most familiar with those, so the enemies they list are going to be their co-conspirators. Again, quite simple. So anyway, I just wanted to say that they talk about the Dukes. They talk about, they quote people here from the NSA and the Cyber Command. This is why these two commands should be split. Here's Rogers being kicked and screaming, making sure he gets his 2 cents in, saying, hey, we need to stop this. This is a serious attack on our democracy. And of course, here it is, Center for American Progress. If you didn't think this was a placed piece, there's Center for American Progress in Neera Tanden, just to remove all doubts. And then, of course, the over-the-top histrionics with, it was a gut punch to our democracy, blah, 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 like they always do. So, you can read this article again, but here is, you're going to see these different characters mentioned, and every time they mention these different characters, those are worth writing down and just for connection. But what I love is the group that responds, the 4 senators that respond to this unprecedented attack on American democracy: McCain, Lindsey Graham, Schumer, and Reid. Again, immediately, those are going to be the co-conspirators. Okay, so now let's go here real quick to just do the. Now they're going to say in that article, cozy bears and fancy bears, but they really come from the cozy dukes, and then there was all these other dukes. So Onion Duke could be the Onion Router for the Navy. Mini Duke could be somebody who drives a Mini Cooper. We don't really even know. It could be a smaller team, whatever. They're all kind of derivative of these cozy Dukes, okay? I've said that I thought those were the ones, but here's the article saying, hey, the intrusion was the Bears in the Mist, a famous article written by CrowdStrike. They were where they said Cozy Bear and Fancy Bear, which are the same as the Dukes. Now, then they put out this. This is a JAR report. This is a joint report between DHS and FBI, listing all these names, and there's a ton of them. But if you go through, you'll just see the ones that keep coming up over and over are Dukes, 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 the Cosmic Dukes, the Cake Duke, etc. So you basically throw out all those, and here's another article that lists from Gizmodo that lists 47 ones in order of how good they are. So you go back to all the way to the ones at the back, which are the first ones, which are going to be the derivative Dukes. Okay, so that is, they're all somewhere in here. Anyway, the bottom line is if you just graph these entities, just in a simple Venn diagram, you've got the DOJ, FBI over here, you've got sort of the CIA over here, you've got, let's say, NSA over here, slightly different entity, and then you've got the DIA, NGA over here. Now this is, I don't know if this is exactly how the SES is divided up. We do know that there's a FBI, DEA kind of inner cell at SES. We know that there's a CIA inner cell. I think it's actually it's not a SES, it's an SIS. We need to know more about that. We know NSA has these folks that are SES. And then we have DIA and NGA, which have SES. And I just put a few names of people I knew here just to, General Flynn, obviously. The Awans probably were NGA. Burgess was DIA. Tony Schaefer from our series is DIA. Just a few names. Clapper was both NGA over here, and then he moved over here to NSA. Of course, Michael Hayden was NSA. We've got Rogers that's NSA, etc. But then just trying to figure out, and this is in no particular order, how these Dukes break out, because now we've been given lots of hints that these are 12-man teams. We had the old Majestic 12 kind of as a thing of a team, but now recently we've had the team in the UN broken up, which could be Samantha Power's team. We don't know. Could be the Fancy Dukes. We don't know because New York's fancy. We don't really know. But we can see that there was 5 teams that were broken up, 5 Russian teams that were sent out. Assuming that the Awans are already taken care of, it's going to be maybe one of these 5 teams. Now we know Pinchuk. Pinchuk is a Russian billionaire that owns the New York Nets in Brooklyn, right by where Hillary for America is. So maybe that's the Pinch Bears. Sea Duke, we know that John McCain's father and father's father were all admirals. Maybe we can say that Sea Dukes were McCain. Hammer Dukes, we know James Clapper loves the hammer. We know Brendan loves the hammer. They love to throw hammers and duel at each other there at Fort Washington. Is it Clapper's team the hammer team? Is Brendan's team the hammer team? We don't know. The Onion Dukes, the Onion Router, who knows? Who that would be? Maybe that's Cosmic Duke. That could be Elon Musk. At this point, we really don't know. Cake Duke. I think of the cake discussions that Mark Lambert had with over here with the yellow cake and white cake. So anyway, just a high level analysis to get the thoughts going. Now here's an NSA guy, right? This is Doug Gabriel, and it's important when the reason why I love his opinion and so forth. You're kind of getting this angle. You're getting the angle from an NSA guy, and I don't know what level clearance he had, but I think he had a pretty high level clearance, the way he talks and so forth. And I think this is him. That's Doug, and then PhD, and worked in schools and authored 11 books, and he's just got a lot of Waldorf in Detroit, near Detroit, Wayne State University, but he's moved all over Hawaii, right? And this gives you clues because there's a listening center in Hawaii, an NSA. I don't know if it's on Hilo or not. I thought it was on Oahu, but it could be on some other island I'm not sure about. I thought the supercomputer was out in, I want to say, Maui. But, we can look and see, the different NSA parts he was in, and he called his thing signal broadcasting. Well, everybody knows that NSA is signal intelligence. The Catholic Church, I don't know if he was here from but this, what I'm trying to get to is every person you listen talk about the SES brings their sphere of influence to the party and can give you insights into who the dukes are, so we can get these dukes moved in the right direction. Or, Pompeo can just issue and say who the dukes are. Um, but all these people are going to have different perspectives on this as we go forward. As the different conspirators fall apart here in the DEA, FBI, SES, you're going to be able to pull that apart probably the fastest because we have the most metadata with the Hillary emails, the Huma emails that are coming, and we've also got the Podesta emails that are coming. But we're going to have more here with DIA as the Flynn trial moves forward. We're going to have more with McCain. We're going to have, because McCain's trips and calls to our friend in Christopher Steele in London. Brennan and McCain both going to London a lot. Are the fancy dukes? Is that really Christopher Steele's dukes? We don't really know at this point. Just want to kind of put it out there in kind of a mind map at this point, and not really trying to put anything in any one particular box. We do have lots of clues on the FBI side. I just want to remind everybody that here we have this guy who knows the Saipov truckers, this Nawaf Abu Awad. He's also at 123 Genesee, it's with the Saipovs, and he also knows the guy who did the bombing up in New York, in Chelsea. Now, if I was on the Fancy Duke team in New York, let's just say I was in Brooklyn, and Eric Braverman used to work with the Clinton Foundation, and he was getting closer, I would have my group of terrorists in the area do the bombing. Well, that's exactly what happened. This does directly trace to Paterson, New Jersey. So we're going to get a lot more clues now that we have a structural framework to figure out where these different hacking teams were. That's all I'll say for right now. On to Wisconsin to support Paul Nellon, and on to Wisconsin to ask Paul Ryan, why are you protecting a spy ring in Congress and potentially a drug ring in Congress?